Okay.
The MMORPG has gained a reputation of being the most intense genre of game, and for good reason. They're competitive, easily the most time-consuming, the most grindy, and combine this with the fact that they never end. It's not uncommon these days for players to have several years of playtime accumulated, with a substantial portion of that time dedicated to items or rewards that would leave most rational people mystified of their obsessiveness. World of Warcraft, being a staple of the genre, is no different, and today, we continue our series of videos covering the most unhinged, craziest, obsessed, spectacular, and maybe even the most toxic moments in its history. Before we get into it, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video,
Boot.dev.
Boot.dev is a learning platform that gives you a very hands-on way to learn Python, SQL, and Go through interactive lessons. It's actually built like an RPG. You earn XP, unlock achievements, fight bosses. Nice. But at the same time, everything you do is teaching you these real and job-ready skills for a profession that's been earning over $100,000 a year. And if that isn't MMO-like enough for you, they also recently released the Training Grounds feature, which lets you complete challenges infinitely for as long as you want, until whatever concept you're working on clicks for you. And if you get stuck, you can enlist the aid of either the AI-powered bear wizard, Boots, or an active Discord community of real people to help guide you through things. So, if you've ever thought about finally learning real back-end development the fun way, go to Boot.dev and use my code MADSEASONSHOW to get 25% off the entire first year on the annual plan.
Sweet, Mad Season. Thanks for sharing.
Anyways, back to the video. Classic World of Warcraft. The refuge. The oasis from the impure. Free from the clutches of gameplay-destroying monetization and the greedy corporate shell of a game that retail has become. You want a level? Buy the level boost. You want gold? Buy the WoW token. You want the best gear in the game? Gladiator? The super high-level item? Use the gold from the WoW token. I love MMOs, but, you know, I hate the leveling. I mean, I love the genre, but I hate farming gold. It's my favorite type of game to play, but I hate having to find a guild and having to socialize to raid. The MMORPG is the only genre.
I feel like Mad Season says the silent part out loud every time, and it's just like, okay, yeah, true, very true.
Game that people love so much that they'll actually pay any amount of money possible to not play it. And one of the things that classic World of Warcraft was anticipated and touted for was that it was the before times. The pure early years before the game was monetized in 40 different ways. Ever since Activision acquired Blizzard in 2008, players have slowly witnessed the game becoming more and more monetized in more and more impactful ways. What started as just in-game cosmetic pets, we promise, slowly transformed into being able to purchase all forms of character progression, of course, even the best items and the most coveted titles available with the swipe of a credit card. And so when Classic 2019 was announced, and players learned that its only monetization was a subscription fee, they felt like they were going back to those good old days.
Hype.
Back when accomplishments meant something because they were obtained with time commitment instead of a credit card. But as time went on and the game started to get progressively and blatantly infested with bots, players started to put two and two together, and they realized if there's such a large supply, there must also be a large demand. Players, of course, turned to third-party websites to do anything in their power to not play the video game that they claim to love playing. Raiders, rankers, levelers paying for dungeon boosts, casual players browsing the auction house, largely in part with Blizzard's lack of agency or interest in enforcing their terms of service. RMT was and remains to be rampant in classic World of Warcraft, as players were all too eager to immediately corrupt the last bastion of an even playing field. The intense demand birthed.
So one of the like I've talked about this on stream before, but one of the problems with gold buying is that every time someone buys gold, it intensifies the problem and makes it worse. So what I mean by that is, if no one bought gold, there would be a lot less inflation, a lot less gold in the economy. Say like in a perfect world, there was zero gold selling, zero gold buying. Obviously that could never happen, but let's just pretend. Everything would cost way less gold. So when you do a dungeon, you're just randomly getting gold drops. You're doing a quest and you get like that 10 gold. That 10 gold from the quest would go further in buying you raid mats, raid consumes, right? There's less inflation, things are cheaper, whatever. Now, say someone then buys gold, right? One person buying gold doesn't affect much. But then say your whole guild starts buying. All the other guilds on the server start buying gold. Now the price of everything starts to raise. Now you can't really afford to buy these things like the mats and stuff like that without buying gold or farming a crap ton of time. So everyone that then buys gold makes the problem worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So we're at this point where since everyone's buying gold, everyone needs to buy gold. And you can't afford things without buying gold because everyone's buying gold. But every time you swipe, you make the problem worse. That's kind of where it's at, right? So if we all agree to stop buying gold right now, then the problem gets better for everyone.
The veritable bot army infesting every single corner of the game, and players watched hundreds invade leveling zones, overrun popular farming spots, fly hack teleport to raids. They would be abused in boost runs, where mages would gather up hundreds of mobs in a dungeon to AoE them all at once. Often this was done with cheating software. They would create these automatically ran scripts that would perform their routes for them, or just straight up teleport hack, as players who yearned for the good old days of meaningful leveling and questing AFK'd at the entrance, paying with gold that they bought with the credit card, essentially purchasing a level boost in all but name. It was particularly rampant within the raiding community, as with vanilla and its balance being in the Wild West, consumables played a huge role in the endgame. Months of raiding wore on many players as they turned towards swiping in order to maintain the costly upkeep. And not only that, as time went on and raids became more and more puggable, GDKP runs would become more and more common. Short for gold dragon killing points, which makes no sense, by the way. Items in these raids would be auctioned off in a bidding war between the players, and at the end, the pot would be split evenly amongst the raid. For some, it was an interesting way to earn gold while participating in their favorite activity, and for others, the pipeline to achieve the best gear in the game by swiping a credit card, just like the retail version of the game, culminating with this now infamous screenshot of a player paying near gold cap for Gressel, which is the best in slot one-hander for DPS warriors. These GDKP runs would soon take over the game, even prompting enough demand for Blizzard to ban them in future reruns, though they're still in the 2019 line of the game and they remain to be quite dominant.
I don't like GDKPs. I've talked about this many times before. I love the idea in theory. Gold buying's off the table. People either go to a raid and make money or get loot. Cool, win-win for everyone, right? The problem with GDKPs is in practice, it's different than in theory. In theory, they are great. In practice, they're terrible. In practice, what happens is the person that swipes harder gets all the loot, and then you get gold, but then you go to the next raid and you still can't really get anything because the person that swipes the hardest gets all the loot. And in practice, I've just never, ever had a good experience. First-hand experience, at least. So it's always been awful. In theory, they're fantastic because it just doesn't work out that way.
So, the combined efforts of the players themselves and the lack of moderation on Blizzard's part, one of the things that chased players away from the retail version of the game is now fully integrated into the culture of what was supposed to be an escape, with this screenshot serving as a monument that time is an endless circle and all roads eventually lead to the same place. Usually in response to that, people will say it's gatekeeping, completely ignoring the fact that it's a multiplayer game and all progress is relative. Not that you would expect somebody who pays other people to play 90% of the game for them to understand the genre, but if you really want to talk about gatekeeping, you haven't seen anything yet. The build-up to Classic's release was one of the most intense moments in the Blizzard community's history. Fueled by distrust of the modern developers, the pre-launch for the 2019 run was dominated by the no changes movement. The raids, class balance or lack thereof, items, reputations, the PvP system, world buffs. They wanted the original game as close as humanly possible. Any and everything from blob.
I can understand the no changes movement in 2019. I really can. Like, you're frustrated with Blizzard, they're making retail into something you don't want it to, and you're like, Blizzard, just give us exactly what we had, don't change anything. I get it. Now, 7 years later, right, we're living in the future. It's like, okay, we played that, it's very fun. But there are things that, like small things that could be improved and more content to be added now that we've done that. RuneScape went through the same historical event in 2013, and now look at old school today, right? So it's like, yeah, I get it. I get both.
Shadows to the classic water to even introducing artificial lag to match the limited technological infrastructure of the mid-2000s. Today, this crowd has mellowed out quite a bit, especially after the death blow that was delivered via paid level boosts. Told you so, by the way. But anyone who is active during the lead up to the game will recall just how intense it was, and anyone suggesting any change, no matter how minor it may have been, were immediately drawn and quartered, as the majority of the player base believed that the best thing that Blizzard could do for the game was to not touch it. But that's not the unhinged part. Obviously, one of the things that has changed since 2004 that's outside of Blizzard's and the player's control is the world surrounding the game. You can recreate it perfectly to every pixel as much as you want, but the players now know the game like the back of their penis. Database websites are far more advanced.
We went
People
there.
now talk on Discords instead of in-game and on forums. YouTube has full guides on how to do literally everything, and the collective player base are now balding and regretting their life choices, such as playing too much World of Warcraft in their
Dude, Mad Season is going in on this video, bro. I mean, jeez. Wow, okay.
youth. It's a different time, to be sure, and just one of the many differences is the streaming culture. Of course, there were no live streamers in 2004, and with the game being multiplayer.
Yeah, oh man, this streaming culture,
that's
what it is.
The streaming culture. Of course, there were.
Yeah, this guy, Peo, it's Joker, Peo, Savix, I mean, Perplexity, guys, these streamers are just...
No live streamers in 2004.
Jinji, I mean, Annie, I mean, guys, these streamers...
The game being multiplayer, but no changes crowd sobbing as a threat to
not good, guys, not good.
Attempted sanctity of the game. What if a streamer plays on their server? What if they have a crowd of people spamming chat channels, giving them free items and gold, an easy scarab lord? It is a multiplayer game after all. You can't just live in your own bubble and not affect others.
Yeah.
And so this would become a source of friction between streamers, their communities, and the rest of the player base, with some members of the latter making it clear that these alien communities were not welcome on their server. This would go on for months until it hit something of a boiling point when a popular streamer named Soda Poppin had this to say.
Love to not receive any streamer benefits, but also all the downsides of being a streamer. I don't want to receive those either. I'd rather it all just be gone. I want to be a completely normal player. That's not happening. One thing you could do is basically a Horde and Alliance blacklist. If an Alliance player is just blatantly just being a fucking spurk, just stream sniping, clout chase, like all these different terrible things, like annoying things, I'll take that person and I'll say, okay, blacklist this person. My friends on the Alliance or other streamers don't play with this person. They are never allowed in anything that the actual good guilds on the Alliance are doing. They are blacklisted. So you won't get any actual good raids. You'll never actually get any good gear. And eventually, if you want to keep stream sniping, you're going to be doing it while I have double your gear.
This was essentially an open declaration of war to the no.
Yeah, Soda actually brings up a good point, right? Like, there's a lot of downsides to streaming and a lot of upsides, and they kind of come together, right? And it's like, if, like Soda just said, if he could trade the downsides for the upsides, he would, but like, you can't really do that, right? One of the ways that I've found to kind of do that is to play solo self-found. And that's what I've generally been doing the last many years, because you kind of get that authentic experience. In fact, I've been kind of craving to play some WoW off stream where you're just kind of like there. You're not getting stream sniped or followed. You're just kind of there and typing, and then just, it's been a while. Sounds very nice, very fun. So I kind of agree with Soda, right? Like, it would be nice to do the trade-off, but you can't really do it. So that's kind of how it works. So it's, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Declaration of war to the no changes crowd, who swiftly replied with their most powerful weapon, complaining on the forums. The autism reached their highest levels when a coalition of players announced the creation of an add-on called the Blacklist, which was designed to blacklist not just Soda Poppin', but all streamers.
On August 12th, a coalition of at least 4 well-known hardcore private server guilds always plans to speed level a full raid in hopes of a week 1 Ragnaros kills will announce their intended server with this message. Streamers, you are not welcome on X. Any attempt to play on our server will result in such an amount of griefing from both factions that you will be unable to play.
I never heard about this. This is crazy.
After 9 days, we will begin the plan of attack. They will be course camps. They will be chain CC'd.
Wow.
They will have their bags and mailboxes filled with heavy leather balls and peeling the onions. They will not be able to tag a single mob in any zone that they're in.
What's funny and ironic about this is directly against terms of service. Like, you can't target someone and allow them to not play the game. Very clearly in the TOS, you can't do that. So, nice post, bro.
This will be a coordinated effort of at least 180 level 60 players. No amount of fanboys will stop us. But that's not enough. Sometime after our announcement, but before the game launches, we will publish the blacklist, an add-on that will make streamers invisible to their own faction and constantly tracked by their opposing faction. With the blacklist, any streamer and those in the same guild will have the following effects placed on them. Your trade requests and group requests will be automatically cancelled. If a player enters a group you are already in, they will automatically leave.
Man, I never saw this. I don't know how long ago this was. Maybe in 2020 or something. I don't know. But like, this is crazy to me. Who typed this thinking this is reality at all, ever? That is nuts. I can't believe, like, unless it's an elaborate troll, then it's kind of funny. But if this is not a troll, I mean, that is crazy, man.
Attempts to join any group by a blacklisted individual will fail. You will not be able to be targeted with beneficial spells. Your options will be hidden. Your set in all channels, including say, yell, and whisper, will not appear anywhere to anyone. You will automatically be banned from any custom chat channels, including global ones. Your precise location will be broadcast to all members of the opposite faction. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Dude, that is nuts. I never heard about that.
Such as gold or gear would be offered to participating guilds, and even those who refuse to participate would be added to the blacklist, marking the peak of one of the most embarrassing moments in the game's history.
Yeah,
which is kind of saying a lot.
That is very embarrassing. Unbelievable.
PvP will be a subject often discussed in this series, as it's...
Someone said, didn't Soda say the exact same thing? Soda's was the opposite. Soda was saying, you just play normally unless someone is griefing you and camping you, so doing what that Reddit post was saying, then from there, you would just blacklist them and not play with them. So if you're being that guy, then you just get outed. But Soda wanted to play like a normal player. That was what Soda was saying. So Soda was saying the exact opposite of that. It's like, I just want to play the game normally, and if people want to mess with that, then you get blacklisted. So yeah, definitely very opposite.
Quite a potent source of degeneracy. And next on the list is Phase 2 of Classic 2019.
Okay, here we go.
Windows re-released Classic World of Warcraft. They implemented something of a schedule of content releases. Of course, when the game originally released back in 2004, many of the features and systems, raids, dungeons, recipes, quests, and so on were slowly added. So for the re-release, they decided to pick what they felt to be the most major of these updates and fit them into a 6-phase schedule to roughly match the cadence of patch releases in the original run of the game. Phase 1 would come with the original raids, the Molten Core and Onyxia, as well as Moradin, and as you can see, it explicitly mentions that while you can PvP, there are no rewards for doing so. This missing honor system would come in Phase 2, which was released on November 12th, 2019, which was about 2.5 months after its initial release.
I remember that.
At this point, vast majority of serious players had hit level 60, and they'd started to accumulate high-end gear. The reason why it was one of the most toxic and degenerate moments in the game's history, however, were 3 in total. One as low as level 48, players would count as an honorable kill.
Yeah.
And therefore give honor. 2, there were no battlegrounds implemented at this point, as the first 2, the Warsun Gulch and the Altric Valley, were coming in phase 3.
Yep.
And 3, PvP on a PvP server.
Yep.
Well, that is if you count PvP as groups of 10, 20, 30 plus roaming around, corpse camping level 48s in Fellwood, and rogue stalking flight points to gank people who went AFK to take a shit. If you were on a PvP server during this time, even if you were a solo level 60, it was like the Purge movies where people are allowed to freely hunt each other without legal repercussions for 24 hours. The world was...
So on our realm, we were on Faralina Horde. We had every flight path camped in the world, bro. If you were an alliance and you landed, instantly dead. You were getting... The flight paths were spam AoE'd so hard. Right when you landed, dead. Right? We were sitting outside the cities right when someone left, dead. Just dead on, like anywhere, bro. Alliance were just shivering in their cities like, oh, we can't leave. They were so scared. It was brutal. Very brutal. And then Battlegrounds came out and everything changed. So, nice.
Uninhabitable solo. PvP hotspots that happened to hold dungeons like the Blackrock Depths and the Blackrock Mountain was a corpse run marathon, turning the travel time from 5 minutes to 50. Questing areas for levels 50 to 60 were the prime hunting grounds. And if your number
That's against TOS. So someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's against TOS to world PvP. I think what's against TOS is tracking someone down specifically via information on a Discord server or a Reddit or a stream or a YouTube video or whatever, and camping them specifically and following them around the world. It's very different to AoE a flight path for TOS than to harass someone individually. That's how I understand it. So no, AoE camping a flight path, not against TOS. Tracking someone down specifically throughout the world and harassing them is against TOS. Anyway.
Green, you were on the table as everybody was scrambling to scavenge as much honor as humanly possible. And remember, this was the era before Dungeon Finder and teleports. You either had to quest out in the world or hide in the confines of a dungeon and mindlessly grind it over and over to progress.
Yep.
You'd have actual raids patrolling across entire zones in circles, hunting levelers, and another one waiting at the graveyard in case they took resurrection sickness. And the honor system first released in 2005.
It was pretty bad.
Like this because no one really understood the game, but by 2020, the game obviously has been microanalyzed and hyper-optimized, and the optimal way to rank during this period was to corpse camp people until they logged off. It was truly one of the rattiest times.
It was brutal.
In the game's history.
It was bad.
The casual players just started to straight up quit. Forums and third-party websites were overflowing with salt, and many point towards this moment as a major hemorrhaging of the casual player base on PvP servers, as the game was essentially unplayable. Some people will say, what are you talking about? This looks awesome, which it is in some senses. In a way, it's rather interesting and unique to have such danger roaming about the world, but the problem was it ended up being incredibly damaging to the game because it was at this moment that the servers became incredibly imbalanced. Servers with even small discrepancies between the factions, such as 60-40, would eventually slide to 70-30 and then 80-20 because the undermanned faction simply couldn't play the game.
So it was like, if a server was like 55-45, you know, it like kind of worked, but as soon as it starts to slide, it's like domino theory, right? You have more people on Horde, 60-40, and it's like, oh crap, the Alliance are kind of getting dominated. So if someone rolls on the server, it's like, oh, I'll just roll Horde because I would rather not get owned in world PvP consistently, right? And then it goes to 65-35. Then it's like, okay, now it's so dominant that it's like, okay, I'm definitely gonna roll Horde. And then it goes to 70-30, and then it goes to 80-20, and then all of a sudden it's like, all the dominoes go down, right? It's like, boom, everyone's on one side. It's like, okay, that's kind of how it works. So then every server just got completely ruined.
It would cause players to transfer en masse off of underdog factions. And not only that, they would transfer to servers where their faction was the majority until 90% of the active servers became imbalanced to the point to where you couldn't even find raiding guilds. Major cities would be taken over by the opposite faction, so as interesting as it all was, it was also a very damaging moment for the game as people watched their communities, which was one of the major draws of Classic, slowly fade away and fracture under this pressure of severe imbalance. It was so bad that Blizzard ended up actually releasing the Warsong Gulch and Altruic Valley Battlegrounds 2 months ahead of time before Phase 3, which relieved the craziness going on in the world as the primary means of farming honor were now battlegrounds, so people could AFK in Altruic Valley to rank, which was a different but equally ratty form of PvP that they loved so much.
True.
But even still, the damage was done, as the world of the MMO saw yet another example of how the players must be protected from themselves.
True.
Dude, you need to calm down. No one's fucking yelling at you, so you need to stop yelling at us. Okay? We're all cool here, alright? Hey, you! Shut your fucking mouth!
Whoa.
Like a fucking oh, fuck you!
Next, we're going to take a little field trip, and that's Millie from the Dark Age of Camelot.
Bro.
And this one I have to include purely on its insanity. It isn't related to World of Warcraft, but it is often incorrectly attributed to it, and that's the Cloud Song incident.
Hey, I know you're part of the motherfuckers! You fucking stole my cloud song! If I ever find out where you live, I'm gonna fucking kill you!
This is a true archaeological find dating back to the prehistoric era, even before YouTube existed. It first popped up on the dinosaur playground, YTMND, short for You're the Man Now Dog.
You're the man now, dog!
Yeah, this is where memes were created. There wasn't even any video, it was just still images with audio attached to them. The reason why this was incorrectly attributed to World of Warcraft was because the person who posted it used an image from WoW.
Bro, I know you're part of those motherfuckers who rolled over to Ares the other day and fucking zerged my cloud song! I swear to fucking God!
Wow.
The cloud song that her
Must be a good
crestfallen
item or something.
subject is referring to is actually from another legendary MMO called the Dark Age of Camelot. It was a caster cloak. I'm not even going to pretend what these stats mean. I'm sure someone in the comments will be able to cover my lack of knowledge here. But just know that at some point, this was the best caster cloak in the game.
Okay.
Calm down, dude. It's just a fucking game. Hey, fuck you, Griffin! You fucking say it, fucking
Wow, bro. This is like...
The context and circumstances behind the event are a mystery, but considering how the accused doesn't deny the act of thievery, it's assumed that he was somehow able to steal this coveted cloak in some way.
But anyways, dude, Millie, if that's your name, I don't know if it is, you need to fucking just calm down a little bit, dude. You listen up and you listen to me, you little motherfucker.
Wow.
You say one more fucking thing,
No way.
I'm gonna break your fucking nose! Bro, you don't even know where I live.
The clip became so infamous
the guy's
that
just trolling
it's
him.
overtaken the cloak.
Bro, that's the last thing you want to tell someone when they're like really heated is just to calm down. If you tell someone to calm down when they're not calm, it's usually not a good thing to say, bro.
Itself is searching for will often return results of the mental breakdown rather than Cloud Song itself. It was kind of used to display the mental instability of the MMO player base, and today goes down as one of the most unhinged moments in MMORPG history.
Glenn, you fucking talking shit! Fuck you, Brooklyn! Fuck you!
Dude.
I fucking own the VN boards! You fucking pussy!
Wow. Okay.
Hey, who's
Yeah.
fucking muting me?
Okay.
Who's fucking muting me?
Wow. That is something. Never heard about that.
So, RMT, no changes, blacklists, mental breakdowns. Just another day in the wonderful world of the MMORPG. So concludes another episode, but don't worry, we're just getting started. The game has been running for quite a while, and there's certainly no shortage of crazy moments, so I'll see you in the
World
next
Cup
episode.
griefing.
Peace.
Wow, that was not what I was expecting. Yeah. I feel like Mad Season just kind of just said it all. Like, there's so many videos where he hints at like hating RMT and like gold buying. In this video, he's just like, screw it, we'll just say it all. Like, just kind of put it all out there. It's like, yeah, kind of like a venting video. Yeah, solid video. I think he has some really good points. This was like, yeah, unchained Mad Season vid, bro. Solid.